question goes to Prof when he spoke about.
There are two professors here. So.
Okay, is it Prof Achu?
Okay.
When he spoke about the absentee farming.
Okay.
We have a lot of people who would want to get into agriculture. We have a lot of people doing other stuff. But he seemed to dismiss absentee farming. And I know about contract farming and all the rest. Is there a way out?
Okay. Thank you very much.
I would concur with what Mrs. Alberta made mention, that we need to work on our mindset when it comes to agriculture. And then Professor Achu was also mentioning absentee farming, whereas we have Prof. Kessie talking about the internet, right? So I believe that in Ghana, we have to start thinking about working smart and not working hard. And even if you want to work smart, you need to work harder to be smart enough. So my question goes like this: how do we then change the mindsets of the individuals? I'm surrounded by a lot of youth, so I would like to leverage on that and then have an impact on the friends around me, and also begin from there. My friends can also impact on the others, how we change our mindset with regards to agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Edmond. Madam Alberta, thanks for the input. Based on your experience with schools and in the areas that you go to, based on the problems that you've identified, what do you think should be the recommendation to maybe Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Agric to be able to help change the conditions or the situation that you've seen in the various academic institutions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to give a case using myself, an example, then tell you the way out. I am fully employed in Accra here. I said, okay, I want to farm. Where do I get the money? Funding for agric business in this country is very limited. I was shocked to know that Stanbic Bank, so that I so much done well, they fund agriculture, even than some of the banks that have been like created with that particular mandate. Stanbic, thumbs up. So I decided to use my own resources. So, sorry, the thing was like this. So it basically means that initially you just outlay capital into the farming, you don't get anything, right? So I was thinking at least if it gets to a point, then I begin to get a bit of some kind of cash influence from the farming, then I would. So what I did is that, okay, let me go into a type of farming where my presence would be so much needed there. So I decided to go into coconut farming. So into the coconut farming, it will surprise you to know, you go there, buy land, you prepare everything there, you plant. Do you know even in your absence, people will begin to steal the planted coconut seedlings? One, I even told some of them that, oh, you know what, boss, you don't steal it. You wait. When it grows and is fruiting, you can steal. Do you see that? Now, so what is now the way out here? People are now using technology where you can monitor everything using a cloud-based system, like what Prof is saying. Now, do we have resources to be able to deploy that? Yes, it depends. For me, the amount of acreage I want to go into, in fact, I've bought over almost 100 acres. At that level, it will be very difficult for me to use technology, looking at the cost involved. So for me, this is the way I do advise. What you can basically do is that the 3 crops at times initially may be a bit manageable than the crops like vegetables. For vegetables, they are very short term. Then almost every other day or every 3 days, you can go in what and then harvest. So I will advise you, if you want to go into 3 crops, one is absentee, at least we can be able to moderate it a bit. So even if it's weekly, if you can only go there once, fine. But other than that, what I have experienced, you go to these villages, you think the people are so kind, you are kind with them, all right. You know what they'll do to you first? They will bring you down to their level. Then they'll use experience to beat you. So what I've realized that if you know you can't make the best of my experience, it may be, people may argue about it. I would advise at least once in a week. If you can't do that, my brother, save your money.
Thank you very much, Professor Achu.
So I think the question was on how do we change our mindsets,
exactly.
Right? I believe that we can look at how, again, let's relate it to the context and the reason why we are here. We're looking at the future of food, right? And changing our mindsets also means also really understanding the whole sector and how we could play a role to ensure that the future is sustained. Now, in understanding the sector, you have to know that we have from food to the table and what are the processes and what we can do as youth to play a role. Can we all be farmers? Yes and no. But maybe we can look at how we could add value into it, because now we are exporting more of the raw materials. So how do we look at adding value? How do we bring our farmers together, maybe get it from them and add value to it by processing it? So that can be a niche that you can create for yourself as a beginner agribusiness. We can also look at the input dealership sector. As I indicated, we have Ghana, we have over 160,000 plus communities. And out of these communities, I mean, we are looking at access to inputs, either organic fertilizer or crop nutrition or crop protection. We are looking at Wellington boots, we are looking at knapsacks and all that. How accessible are these things to farmers when we are talking about building a sustainable farming community? It's also an area that you could look at, innovatively look at in having a role there, and that is really understanding that there is a role to play within the input dealer shop, input dealer business. You can build a career path there, or you could do something to change the community. We can also look at mechanization, machinery and equipment, which is also lacking within most of our communities. And we are talking about sustainable farming and how we can advance it. We don't have the machinery, we don't have the resources, even in most of our communities. So that is how maybe another role that we can consider to play. We can also look at, policies and how, or advocacy, and how you can also play a role there. So the chain is wide, and like we've been talking about, you can only have a voice or have a place if you understand the whole value. And then, so that is really a mindset for me. And also to the gentleman who asked about what we can do within the ministries or whatever. I think that, I mean, we have more raw materials within the country, but we export more, though there is no data on it. I believe that for the Ministry of Agriculture, we can look at how we could produce in volumes and in value. And then if we're able to produce in volume and in value, we can possibly add some value to it and export. Because sometimes we also tend to export, or Ghana exports, though we don't have a clear data on it. But then it's not sustainable. Other people export to our country and it's more sustained because they are producing in volumes. Sometimes we're able to just do 1 container, 2 containers, and then agreements are cancelled because we are not able to sustain it. So I think the approach is what can be produced in a region, like indicated before, and how can we focus on it, put in all our energies, and build an industry out of it in these regions. I believe we are able to do that. Even migration from our communities will even reduce. And then the career and other things will also go down, though they are also needed. So I think that the education ministry and all that, I think it's time that once in a while they flash within the schools and see what is happening. Because we bring them, this is the 8th year we have been bringing them. So, I mean, we have a lot of discussions, we had a lot of conversations. And we try for policymakers to even meet with them sometimes. Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. But the real issues are in the grounds, within the regions, within our schools, within our communities. And then if you are looking at sustainable practices to build a sustainable future that will influence the future of food, then our institutes are very critical. And so at least occasional visits, these are very, very little things. These are not very technical things, but they are the key things that can also ensure that our future is sustained. We are looking at by 2050, yes, when maybe globally we may need to feed about 10 billion people. Where does Ghana sit within this? And that is the question we have to start asking ourselves.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Solomon. I'm a hotelier, and I'm happy to be here. My question is simple. Now, in the background of the rising food inflation in Ghana, the importation of poultry product to the ratio of 1:4, which means that we consume 1/4 of what we import 4 times as much as we produce. You know, so we consume only 4 times as much as we produce per capita. That is quite a disturbing trend to look at, considering the fact that we have every capacity, every availability in terms of land, in terms of human capital to be able to turn around the situation. Now, my question goes to the Professor of Precision Agriculture. I call it by that name because it has stuck with me. The CSIR has done an enormous work by investigating every crop, every animal, every soil, every area within the confines of Ghana to determine which crop grows faster and quicker and more resilient in which area in Ghana, right? Now, if we are talking about precision agriculture, my question is, to what extent can you work hand in hand with the CSIR in relation to what government is doing to make sure if we want to feed Ghana, how does CSIR, who sole-handedly built a whole economy in Malaysia through one crop, the palm oil, how can we work together with the CSIR to make sure we achieve this particular goal that we have? That's my simple question.
Thank you very much. So CSIR can implement that. When I was doing the work with students, and so I'll combine it with the farming approach in terms of the youth. I did farming with computer science students, not agric students. So the role the computer science students play is to develop the computer systems based on what they get from the agric experts to making sure that we have a successful farm. And we have people from CSIR visiting us to learn how we do it, including their IT head. And they can implement those things across with all the breed that we have, because we adapt the environment to suit the nature of the plants.
So Prof, I mean, quickly, you're suggesting that all the things you talked about, the satellite mapping and cloud computing, these are things you've done in Ghana?
Yes.
Okay, good. Continue. I just wanted...
These are things that actually built in Ghana. And those who even taste, because we grow them organically, those who even took even the tomato and stuff like that, even says it's even far, far, far better than the one that is imported from Burkina Faso. And those elderly people with those conditions, some people can even travel as far as Ibri and other places to come for the food stuff that we grow within the environment, using these students and stuff like that to grow it.
For more news, please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.